Now let's look at the undo phase. The simple solution for the undo phase is just to go through the transactions table. And for each transaction that is left, those transactions are called loser transactions. It's a funny name, I know. They are the ones that need to be abort. Abort here means actually rolling back the actions performed by the transaction, not writing an abort record to the log. So, for each loser transaction, we could do the abort we learned on the previous slides, and that would absolutely work as our undo phase. The only problem with this is that it might be a little inefficient because we are going to bounce through the log transaction by transaction. And that's a lot of random IOs, following those undo next LSN chains one transaction at a time. So let's see if we can just do one single backward pass of the entire log to undo all of the loser transactions. And that's what the next slide is going to do. So keep in mind in the next slide, if you find it a little tricky, it's just an optimization. It's going through and doing one transaction at a time abort, but it's kind of doing all of them at once and keeping the information on each of them as it goes. So here's the pseudocode for this. We keep a set which is called toUndo. It has the last LSN of all the transactions in the transactions table. To start with, those are the LSN that we need to undo. And we are going to go in a loop here on the second line. It says while toUndo is not empty, we are going to find and remove the largest LSN in a set of toUndo. We call that this LR. So we've got the log record with the largest LSN, and we take that out of the set. Now if this LR's type is a CLR, then the next thing to do is to undo what is in the undo next LSN in that CLR. So if the undo next LSN of this log record is not null, then we insert its undo next LSN into toUndo, as that is the next log record we need to undo. That's what CLRs, after all, are for. In essence, they are there to keep these undo next LSNs and to get us to the point where we start undoing things that we haven't been undone. So if we see a CLR, we know it's been undone, and we just take its undo next LSN and put it into toUndo. Now, if this is a CLR, but its undo next LSN is actually null, then actually we succeeded in undoing everything for this transaction at that point. So we are at an end record for this LR in the log. We are done with that transaction, and of course that transaction is no longer in toUndo. We're finished with it, essentially. Now, if this log record is not a CLR, then it's an update. We will write a CLR for the undo we are about to do in the log, and then we will undo that update in the database. We will insert this LR's .pref LSN into toUndo, and that's the next thing to undo for this transaction. Finally, we keep doing this loop until we have done everything in toUndo. toUndo is empty at that point, and we have successfully undone all of the loser transactions.